Whoa, nah, what's up with the YouTube? This is TK with Cuts by Kelly. We're gonna do another taper fade. So I hope you like this video. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Leave a comment if you have any questions about what I'm doing and if I'm not explaining it good enough for you. But with that, let's get in the video. Yeah! First thing first, we're going to cut his hair down to wavelength. I'm going to use my 1.5 blade on my Super ZR2s to do that with. I like these clippers. They're detachable clippers if you don't know that. They're about $300, but I think they're worth it. I've had them for like 3 years, if not more, so I made my money back on them and they work real good. Remember, you want to go with the grain when you're cutting the waver. Now we're setting up to do our taper. We have our ball line set. The next step is to knock out the weight, and I'm doing that with a 1/8 guard. After this, I'm gonna put on a 1/16 guard and fade into that 1/8. But you also can start from the bottom. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start from the bottom with no guard on and start my fading steps, which is close, quarter, 3/4 open. Then I'm gonna put on my 1/16 guard and repeat that process. This fading process is super easy, so I'm gonna leave a link so you can click on it and you can review it on this link. So now you see I have my guard on, my 1/16 guard, and I'm repeating that process. Close, quarter, 3/4, and open. After I do this process, then I'm just gonna do a spot check. I want to go around and see if I see any spots in this blend, and I'll take them out. Whatever I see, I want to take out. If I don't see it, I'm not worried about taking it out because I can't see it. So that's just the process of learning how to fade and fading better. You just gotta wait till your eyes develop so you can be able to perfect your blend. Here we go with our spot check. We just go around that blend and check for spots. Normally I do a lot of my spot check with no guard, all the way open. That seems to do the job for me. I just turn my blade and switch the angle of my clipper like that so I can catch higher spots. So that's a little tip if you want to try that. But we're finished with this side. We're going to do this side now, and it's the same process. I'm setting my ball line, and then I could start do my fading steps, or I can knock out the weight first, then do my fading steps. But you can see here, I'm gonna start fading first. So remember, there's really no wrong way to fade. Long as you get the fade accomplished and it looks good, that's all that matters. These fading steps in this process is just to make it easier for you to understand how to fade, especially for a beginner. Once you have this foundation, then you can do whatever you want to get the fade done. You can skip steps. You don't have to have a process. I mean, it's just, the main thing is just getting it getting it faded. And you can see that with like my video where I faded the hair with a razor. There wasn't no real process for that. It's just that my eyes are developed and I'm able to understand what the end goal is, so it makes it easier for me to accomplish it. So you see I went through my fading steps, and to some of you it might look like it's blended, but as your eyes develop you'll see that there's still spots. So that's what I'm catching right now. I can honestly say throughout my fade, this is one of my favorite techniques, using the corner of my clipper and knocking out the hair. This is another technique right here. I have my blade all the way open and I just was combing the hair down. So it helps to lay the hair down and knock out any hair that's standing up. Alright, before we go to the next step, I just want to remind you, like and subscribe if you like this content. And if you have any questions about the steps that I'm going through, and if you don't understand it, just leave that in the comments and I'll try to get back to you. Let's go to the next step. So now, we're in the back doing the same steps, closed quarter, 3/4 open with no guard. Then we're going to put on our guard, closed quarter, 3/4, then open. So back here on the fade, I'm going to fade one side and then I'm going to fade the other side. And reason being, I just was trying to stay out the way of the camera, so it was hard for me to fade the whole side the whole back at one time. So I'm going to do one side at a time. So I have my left side done, and now I'm fading on my right side. Some pointers I want to put out there when you're fading. Like I mentioned before, we always want to use the corner of our clipper, and that's so we can take off less hair and not take off too much. And then you have to be mindful of the hair growth. Sometimes you might be going over a spot and you just continue to go over it and the hair is not coming off. You got to make sure you're taking the right angles, because the hair might not be growing down. Like his hair in the back right here is growing to the right. So I have to take another angle to get that hair off. We're here for the lineup, and this is pretty much getting to the end of the cut. This is gonna make the cut stand out, and it's gonna make spots stand out too. So usually after I do the lineup, I go back and do my final spot check. With these clippers, I had to go over the line multiple times to get it sharp. So that was letting me know it was time to get a new blade. Anytime you're using your clippers, you shouldn't have to go over a lining 5 times just to get it sharp. If you're going over it, you're just trying to make it straight, but not really trying to get it sharp. So if you continue to go over it and you're like, man, these seem like it's not as sharp as they usually be, that's just letting you know it's time to get a new blade. And that was my signal on this haircut. When I was using it, I had to go over it so many times, so it just let me know I had to get a new blade. I got my new blade, and now I'm working that blade in. Typically when you get a new blade, sometimes they're sharp, sometimes they're not, but the more you use them, the better they get. So you can see the lining is coming out real good, and then we're going to throw some enhancements on there to make it pop even more. But like I was mentioning, when you get your clippers, when you get your blade, sometimes it's not as sharp, but the more you use them, they sharpen themselves, and then after they be sharp for a while, then they're going to dull out, and when you start feeling them dull out, it's time for you to get new blades. So right now we're pretty much at the end of the cut. I hope you like this content, and I hope you like the cut. This is the finished cut. If you like it, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment if you have any questions, or if you need me to explain something a little bit more in detail. But this is TK with Cuts by Kelly, and I appreciate you.